All right, this is a little bit of a follow-up to my last video, which went over the basics of magic and spellcasting in D&D 5e. In this video, we're going to cover the duration of spells, area of effect, and some other things. So let's jump straight into it. First, though, we're not talking about casting time. We talked about that in the last one. This is duration, so this is how long the spell persists. So with an instantaneous spell, it happens instantly. This would be something like Fireball or Firebolt or any of those that just happen, bam, and it's over. With an instantaneous spell, something like Dispel Magic is completely useless against because it just happens in a flash and then it's over. But if it's a longer effect that persists, then Dispel Magic could work. Most spells that have a longer duration take concentration, but not all of them. There's lots of spells that don't. There's things like Water Breathing, which you can just cast on yourself, lasts for 24 hours, and you can breathe in water, no concentration required. Similarly, there's Magnificent Mansion, which also doesn't require concentration, but because it does have a casting time of 1 minute, it would break your concentration on any other spell you're trying to concentrate on if you were to cast this spell. Not a whole lot more to say on that. Obviously, if it's a concentration spell, you can end the spell early just by breaking your concentration to it, which can happen on your turn or not on your turn. If you're in combat and you want to end concentration on something during someone else's turn, you can do that. If it's not a concentration spell, it will say whether or not you can cancel it early. Sometimes it might take a bonus action, or sometimes it's just a free action. You can just end the spell effect early, but that's not always the case. Once you cast the spell, it just stays there for that amount of time. Next, we're going to look at shooting spells at targets and what some of the requirements are for that. Most spells, if it says that you can target a creature, that includes yourself. You can cast most spells on yourself unless it says a hostile creature or a creature other than yourself. So it will specifically call out if you can't use it on yourself. The next is if you're targeting something, you have to have a clear path to that target. If you're casting a ranged spell that has an attack roll, it follows the same rules as any other ranged attack when it comes to half cover, 3/4 cover, and you just can't hit it at all if it's behind cover. But even spells that don't require you to roll to see if you can hit, you still need oftentimes a clear path to your target. Now, there are certain spells, again, like Fireball, that will call out if they go around corners. So Fireball will go around corners if you're hiding behind a pillar, but in the area of effect in the Fireball, you will get hit by it. If it doesn't call that out, though, if you're in the area of effect, but there's a pillar or something that's blocking you from the source of the magic, it won't hit you. It kind of just goes around you. So that is how that works. Now, I did see a debate on Fireball, and because you don't need to be able to see your target, would you be able to shoot it through a wall and have it blow up on the other side of a wall? But because it says that it originates from you, where it says a bright streak flashes from your pointing finger, no, you can't shoot it through a wall. You don't have a clear path to where you're shooting the spell. Here are all the different areas of effects. You have line, cone, cube, sphere, and cylinder. Cylinder is the least common of these types. Fun question for you, pop quiz. How many spells in the player's handbook has an area of effect type of cylinder? For reference, there's just over 360 spells in the player's handbook. Go ahead and tell me your guesses, and I'll tell you the answer at the end of the video. I guess you could fast forward to the end of the video and see it, but that just takes the fun out of it. Going through this list, we'll start with line. It's pretty basic. It starts at the point of origin and it extends in a straight line. It will continue moving through targets and hit everything that isn't behind total cover, which means you can shoot at someone behind 3/4 cover and they still have to roll a saving throw or they get hit by it. This holds true for all the different area of effect types. Moving on to cone. Cones operate very much how you would think they would, but remember that it's also a cone. It's not just like a fan. It's circular. This comes into play if it's something like a dragon's breath weapon, because if they're above, flowing down. If you're playing on a grid, here's what some of the different cones would look like. So you can use this for reference when deciding what people can get hit by the different spells. Here's the different examples for cubes, but it's very basic. Next is spheres. It's pretty basic, but there is sometimes some confusion. Spheres, the point of origin is typically in the center of the sphere, and they give the range is the radius, so how far from the center it extends out. Fireball, for example, has a 20-foot radius. So if it extends 20 feet in each direction, that is 40 feet of coverage that you can get. So if you have two people that are standing, 35 feet from each other, you can have both of them in that attack. I don't think too many people get this wrong, but I have seen some confusion about this. So just know that that's typically how that's displayed. So cylinders are very similar. They'll give you the radius from the center, how far out in each direction it goes. and then they'll also tell you how high it goes. So the last thing that I'm going to cover in today's video is just combining magical effects. It's pretty simple, but you should know that you cannot stack the same spells and magical effects on the same target. When this happens, the strongest spell takes effect. So if two different bards give someone bardic inspiration, they only get the effects of the strongest one. So if one's a D6 and the other one's a D8, they would get the D8. If they're both the exact same, then it's the most recent one that they keep or use. But you can still combine different effects and different spells to really power somebody up. All right, that's all I had. If you're still here waiting for that answer on how many cylinder spells, it would be 8. Here are the list of all of the different cylinder spells in the player's handbook. It is possible that I missed one because I just went through and counted them all. So let me know if I missed any, but I believe it is 8. All right, thanks.